So, good evening, my friends. Today, I'm still playing with the Chiron, which is right here, so you can see that. I'm also going to be working on the CR10S tonight, and I'm going to be gluing some pieces onto a project that I've got. So, why don't we get started and start doing that now? So, I'm going to bring you over here with me, and it's not an overly busy night. Yes. I've only got a few things that I really need to get done. First, I got to put my little micro SD card in, get ready to go. Power up the CR10S, and I got to grab the filament spool because I today am using the eSun 3D filament. This is that crazy color that I had, I think, showed on the stream the other day. So we're going to do that real quick. Pop this open, get it out of the case. I got to pull the other filament off. This is my first experience with Pro PLA, so hopefully I don't do anything odd. I don't imagine it's going to be anything seriously weird. But first, I got to do my heat up on the nozzle here. I don't want to do it there. Control, temperature, nozzle. Let's crank that up to about 188 degrees Celsius. I'm not looking for melt. I'm just looking to get it hot enough so it'll release from the nozzle. The theory is that if I don't have a huge amount of filament in the nozzle when I pull the filament, as long as I'm careful, it shouldn't leave too much regular PLA in there and shouldn't interfere too much with the Pro PLA, which operates at 205 to 225. So I'm running my first layer at 220, and I'll be running the primary printing at 215. So that's what we're going to try on this. I'm running a 60-degree Celsius bed, and I use Simplify 3D as the method of slicing. So I'm going to getting a little close to the temperature on the nozzle, so I don't want to get too distracted on that. But I got the filament out and ready, and we're almost there. This is a neat look. This almost looks like a master spool. Oh, that is kind of cool. That's actually may be a master spool. Wow. Well, I'll explain what I mean by master spool, because the master spools are spools that you can basically use for loose filament or filament that doesn't have. I may not be able to do this. Kind of thought I would be able to, but nope. I'm going to have to heat it up a little bit more. I'll talk about some drift on that. All right, we'll bring it up to the 210. Yeah, this thing can be a little sticky at times, trying to get it loose. Holy cow. Wow, that really doesn't want to come out today. I may have to let it sit for a second to heat up the rest of the way. Holy monkeys. I guess welcome to 3D printing, huh? Wow, that is not coming out. That is not budging. That is very unfortunate. Because I do not want to be pulling this tube out like this. Holy monkeys. All right, let's pull this one out since we can get to it. Wow, this is not a good thing. This is stuck right in there. Well, might be doing some nozzle cleaning here in my extremely near future. It was not the purpose of this today. Well, hello, Rover. Yeah, I sometimes my alerts take a little while to process. Not exactly sure why that is, but I've had other people say the same thing. Sorry for walking away so much from the camera. I was not expecting to have to troubleshoot my printer today. Apparently, that is very much what I'm going to have to do. Oh, this is nuts. Yay, good times, good times. All right, let's see if we can't pull some of the slack out of this. I did not want to have to do this. But I guess that's part of the charm of 3D printing. So, note to self, try not to leave filament in the printer for a week without tending to it. Holy, wow, that was wedged right down in there. Interesting. Some serious weird goo going on here. Oh, so let's see if we can't get this filament out of the tube. I may not be able to. It may be stuck in there, and I'm going to have to... Wow. That is very unfortunate. Look, I get to troubleshoot things today. It's always when I want to do the quick videos, say hi and see how everybody's doing, talk about new printers, and that I end up having to stop what I'm doing and focus on other things, like doing maintenance on my CR10. I'm going to try and get the filament out of the tube. I honestly don't think it's going to happen. I think I'm probably going to have to cut the thing, and I really didn't want to. But we will do what we can do. We have tools. We should use them. So let's go over here and see what we can do with this tool. I'll put that here. Yeah, I'm going to be using a heat gun. I've never tried doing this, so I don't know if this is going to work or not. If it does, this will be a new thing for me. If it doesn't, this will not be a new thing for me. We'll put it at medium temperature. We'll put it on low setting. So yeah, while I'm doing this, I'll try to keep an eye on the chat. We're going to go up a little bit in temperature. Well, why don't we switch to this first and see. And enough? That should be enough. All right, let's see if we can get that to come out now. Whew. We got it. That was quite the plug. So, I mean, that's a good thing in a way. It's good because it means that there's probably not a lot of filament in here, because if there was, I wouldn't have gotten that Gigunda plug to come out like that. So get this put back together. I'm going to skish that down just a tiny bit. So let's see if we can get this thing put back together and get this thing started like we had intended, or at least, well, like I had intended. Hold 6 to 12 inches away to start. What am I holding 6 to 12 inches away to start? Or are we talking about the heat gun? Smaller tools. I don't recall if I brought the correct wrench for this. I don't think I did. Oh, maybe. Oh, so close. I got a big old mess in here. I need to get that fixed because it'll bother me. I wonder if this one will work. Never tried using this one. Oh, look. It's almost like it's designed for that. Very happy to be using this again. So I got to tell you, I have not used my CR10S in, goodness, probably over a week now. Did not anticipate having this particular issue, mind you. All right. All right, let's try to get all this slack straightened out here. Had to move the zip tie. And there we go. Get this put back in. Sorry, you can't see. Honestly, it's not much to look at right now. I'm just trying to get this thing back and going real quick here. All right, so we're still at 205. So I think we're gonna push some purge filament through there and jack up the temperature a little bit. Was not gonna do that, but if I do have a clog in there, I do not want it to get worse. And this is not the easiest of stuff to put in. So keep that in mind. I'm gonna move this. So we're gonna bring this up. Move axis, move 10 millimeters. Oh, really? That's right. I can't do it. I got to do 1 millimeter at a time on this with the Z. Oh, when I was heating up. Yeah, I was in a hurry. I was being impatient. But thank you for pointing that out. You're right. I should have been, a little farther away. I didn't have the heat high enough really to inflict massive injuries on myself. But I did want to make sure that I all right, let's see. How are we looking? Oh, my little thing got stuck. Let's pull that out. Yeah, it's always good to move things around too, like sideways or wow, how much? There we go. So this will be the first time I've ever used purge filament as well. I'm trying to get enough in the extruder to kind of push this old stuff out. It feels like it's kind of binding up in the Bowden tube. But ideally, there's enough in there to make this work. So we're at 207 now, so I'm going to pull that up to 215. That's about the maximum temperature I would want to go with PLA. All right, we're going to hold it there. See if I can get some of that to come out. Control. Oh, wait, I can't remove the extruder that way. Let's see if I can do this. All right. Let me bring you closer. You can see what this looks like when it comes out, if it comes out. Hold on a second. I gotta clean my chair off. My working chair. Yeah. All right. So I got it. I told it to extrude, but I don't know. It may just be binding up in the tube because it kind of felt rather flexible. Let's see if I can get this right here for right now. All right, we're going to try one more time. It is slowly coming out, but it's, like I said, really slow. I'm gonna have to go check the extruder in a second. Let me verify that the extruder is not. Nope, it's not fetching up yet. All right, it is still pulling the filament. That's good. Looks like a little bit is coming out. Like I said, it's just, this is a stupid slow process. And it's also really hot in here, so this stuff is probably a lot more flexible than it usually is. There we go. That's what we wanted right there. Yes. All that yummy, fun clog. Apparently, you just have to be patient, which I think you probably know that I am not, but in this particular case, I'm trying to be. So we're just going to leave this where it is right now. I'm not going to add any more rotations to the extruder and let this settle out for a minute. There we go. We're getting, that looked like the rest of the PLA. Printers are so cool. Still trying to work some more of the filament out. So yeah, this is my first time using the purge filament. So anybody that has any advice on purge filament use, I am seeing that it is a little difficult to use, but it seems to be working exactly the way it's supposed to work. I mean, this is a big old glob of the PLA that was stuck in there after I pulled the other stuff out. So that's nice. Very nice. All right, so I've given it enough time. So I'm going to do one more turn on this and squeeze some more out. There it goes. Yeah. And it still looks like a little bit of PLA in there. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to let it set in between. Oop, we might be done with the PLA. That's starting to look more like purge filament. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get out of my extruder settings. So I'm not extruding with that, and I'm going to go into the temperature control settings for the extruder, and I'm going to raise the temperature to 225 degrees. Now 227. And I'm going to let it sit there for a couple minutes like that. And then I'll extrude a little bit more. Yeah, count to 10. A lot. No kidding, right? Well, at least you can actually see this because of the red blinds. I was actually really concerned about how that was going to show up. I hadn't intended on doing this today. I was actually going to save this for when I started doing the PET G. So I think what I'm going to do from now on is try to pull the filament out of the extruder, because I don't know what's going on with it. It seems like I might have like just maybe a small gap or something in the tube between the nozzle and the tube, and it's able to kind of get in there, because that should not have been quite that difficult to get out, but it was. And sorry for the boring stuff, but all right, so we've been holding 227 now for about a minute. Oh, whoop, hold on. Why are you acting strangely? There it goes. All right, so it wasn't quite up to 227 yet, but it will be in a second. And then we'll talk about the the Chiron once we get this going. But I will say, in between, anybody that hasn't gotten eSun filament, I've never seen a spool like this. This is the first time I've seen it. This thing's got screws in it holding it together. So I would actually call this kind of like a master spool. Hello, Minnesota maker. So anybody that hasn't printed a master spool, there are several designs where they're designed to be printed in two halves and then pushed together. Oh, absolutely. You should listen. Just don't get into a car accident. So yeah, the master spools are great because if you have sample filaments that you want to put together, like the one I have here, this is actually kind of what I would call a master spool. This one actually friction fits together, and I was able to put the loose packaged sample filament onto this spool so I could put it onto the spool holder and have it run to the printer instead of trying to figure out some magical way to feed filament from a bag, because I don't think that works well. But anyway, this looks like it was put in two halves, and they used two bolts and two nuts to hold this thing together. So I think what I'm going to do is, when I'm done with this spool, I may see if it comes apart and then send eSun a very nice thank you letter for doing that. Okay, so we have been holding at 217 or 227 for a little over a minute. And I'm getting impatient, so I'm going to advance the filament just a little bit. 1 millimeter increments. The extruder. And, well, I say 1 millimeter, but every time you turn this, it's 4 millimeters. So that should be enough to get anything else that was in there out. So we should be seeing only like the purge filament at this point. It kind of looks like it. I might do one more turn on this just to make sure, because this is still kind of crispy, but that doesn't really mean anything. All right, so one more crankety. Bloop. Or I say one more crank, but it's actually 4 millimeters, like I said. So, all right, we are going to call that good. So I'm going to have to move the camera. And I apologize if you guys are, I don't know, prone to motion sickness. Okay, so we've got our little bubble of love right here. I'm going to pull that off. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull this filament right out of here, because I want to make sure that I have a nice clean nozzle to work with when I put in the Pro Plus. Ooh, look at that. Felt so nice when it popped out. And there is no PLA sticking to this and no overstretch. It looks kind of like it went right down to the nozzle. So you can see that. So good stuff. So we're going to pack this cleaning filament up, which incidentally took me an hour to put on this spool. An hour, you say? Why would it take you an hour? Well, the answer is because I attempted to put it on the master spool and dropped the filament on the floor. And at which point it twisted and snarled, and it was not having that. So what I ended up having to do with the master spool is, CR10S, angled cut. Any cubic Chiron, flush cut. Anyway, so yeah, when I dropped it on the floor, I ended up having to run it the entire length of the building in kind of a really loose S kind of pattern on the floor, which bothers me greatly, I know. But and it allowed me to. I used a wall-mounted coat rack, which had like, I think it's got 10 pegs on it, and I used that as a friction guide. Oh, that's nice. Look at that. Boop. All right. So basically, it wouldn't make slack, so I could sit there and turn the spool. And while I was turning the spool, it was keeping it from like loosening up on the spool, so it kept nice tension on it. So it was a weird thing to do, but I did it anyway. Print from SD card. CR10 drop is what this is called. So the build plate has to get up to 60 degrees Celsius. Yeah, I did. I got all fancified. It's like, I mean, it literally, the thing has like, it's got like I don't know, something like around 8 pegs or whatever. They're wooden pegs, and they've got the little, the kind of the taper down with the little kind of ball on the end to keep your coat nice and hanging. And I ran the filament like this. So I was basically dragging the filament down the hall over the hooks and onto the spool, and it kept tension on the spool the whole time, and it worked marvelously. Oh, and before I forget, you guys, I didn't give you the update yet. 2 things. One, I found my spare stepper drivers, so I can fix the FT5. So when I have a couple minutes to do that, I can do that. So that's awesome news on that side. And what else did I find? I found my mirror tiles. So I can replace the mirror tile on the FT5 that I put on the CR10S. And a very fine evening, Matt. All right, so I'm going to cover up the microphone for a second because I got a cough. I have a splitting headache. I'm hot. And no, I'm not stuck on myself. And I have a mini project I need to do. So you guys are invited cordially. Oh, look at the lighting. It's so strange looking. Look at this. I'm going to have to bring the chat to me because I cannot see the chat when I'm working over here on the bench. Here, I'll let you guys take a look at my current job real quick while I'm doing this. As you can see, the Chiron is printing still, which is good. What's not so good is that I've had some bed shift that I'm not quite understanding yet, where like this spot here seems to be just a little bit low. Printed beautifully initially. So not sure if one of the V-slot wheels is riding up a little bit or what's causing it. So I've had brought down the build plate. I brought the build plate up a little bit with the, okay, hold on, backwards. It was printing light, so I had to bring the build plate up towards the, bring the nozzle down. And then after that, it was printing too high, so I had to bring it down a little bit with the micro steps. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Something like that. All righty, and I need to find my glue too. Oh, look, we don't have much of a delay today. That's pretty slick. Rover. All right, I am not going to be using any sort of, this might be, I need something to glue on. Give me something to, I've got tons of boxes in here. Why don't I just use a box? That makes sense, right? I've got a ton of trash in here too. This is ridiculous. Let's see if I can squeeze some of this glue out. Oh man, that is jammed right in there. Where's my nippers? I need my nippers. You're not missing anything. I'm just trying to get the plug out of the super glue. Contents under pressure. Woo, yeah. We cleared that plug out real good. Well, most of it. I wonder if anybody would have expected people to do what I do with these nippers. And they still work. I should probably feel lucky about that. All right, so on CR10S, I'm going to bring you back over here because it's starting up, and I want to make sure the layers look okay. So here, you guys can come sit with me again. Oh, man, look at all that filament. Oh, look. Oh, God, it's a mess. Ugh. Let's peel some of that off. Oh, you can't even see it because you're angled wrong. There you go.